Hi, everybody. It's me, Colleen Pearl, and we're here to play PoliTarology. Thank you for joining me. It's Sunday. I'm here by myself. And oh, Felicity, good to see you in the chat. Felicity was just in our members meeting. And hello to everybody else. I see a bunch of people in here. This is great. Thanks for coming. I'm really glad you're here. So, I'm going to be taking questions from the chat, and I forgot to put a banner up. I think I can put up my last banner. It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, let's try this one. Can I do this? There we go. I think this one's good. So we're taking questions in the chat. Please put them in all caps and just make sure that you're subscribed. And I'm going to start with some things that I had on a list that I wanted to talk about. And the first, and also, I occasionally get people telling me that the shuffling is too loud. Now, when I do my pre-recorded videos, I shuffle off camera for that reason, because it's just loud and boring and I'm not talking. So on these shows, I do have to shuffle because I have to shuffle for each reading. And what I did today is I put down a fabric mat. It's not very flat, but I did put it down. And that way, I'm hoping it'll muffle the shuffling a little bit. The first thing that I want to talk about is Trump's trade surplus due to exported U.S. services. So Trump has been justifying his tariffs by saying that, there's all these unfair trade deficits and that the U.S. has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by other countries for decades. He's blamed China for exploiting the U.S. He's condemned Canada on American dairy stuff, and he's criticized Cambodia, tiny little Cambodia. Yeah, let's gang up on them. That they have been imposing excessive tariffs and benefiting at the U.S. expense for years. So in this article, what it said was, well, that may be true, but what he left out is that services that we export across the world and we also use in our country make up 70% of our U.S. economy. Let's just take that in for a minute. 70%. 7-0. So 3/4 almost of our economy is held up with services. And this includes a wide range of businesses like consulting for businesses, education, healthcare, travel, hotels, financial services, media, entertainment, insurance, maintenance or repair, and charging for the use of intellectual property. So the export of these services contribute approximately 25% of the U.S. economy. So 70% of the domestic economy, but overall, 25% of the U.S. economy is contributed with services. 25%, that's a quarter of our economy, that when we're talking about trade, exporting things, right? So I'm just wondering, why people are not saying anything about this. I mean, why hasn't somebody just said? I mean, I found this article, but I had to dig for it. And I think any of you who have been watching the news, you've probably seen those two covers of the Economist magazine, one showing Trump standing on top of a map of the United States with a chainsaw. So, and it's a cartoon, so it's not a real graphic chainsaw. And he's, basically carving up the United States. Whereas in other cartoons that we've seen of Trump and his expansionist ideas, they're showing Trump standing on top of a map with very little demarcation on it, but it shows all of North America as America. So all the way up to the Arctic, Canada, the US, Mexico, down into Central America. In Trump's mind, that's all America, right? But that's not really true. Because Trump basically just wants to take over the world. So if he wants to take over the world, I don't know why he's trying to bankrupt everybody, but that's what he's trying to do. So why are we not knowing about these services? That's what I want to know. In other words, what is his real evil plot here? So I'm shuffling my cards, and I hope you can't hear it very much because I'm using it on the cloth. And I do think it makes it quieter because it doesn't echo off the hard table. And so I just want to see what's his point in this about just I mean, we know he lies. We know he obfuscates. We know he just tries to he's like a bad magician, who's just using sleight of hand. He holds up his left hand so you don't see what's going on with his right hand. That's basically what he's doing. So he doesn't tell you the whole story, ever. Are 50 countries really caving, negotiating with Orange over the tariffs? I don't know. We can read on that. Okay. So let's look at this. And I did a little, I don't know if you'd call it channeling or meditation or whatever, where I got a message from Trump that is basically, it's really frightening, but it was his message. Okay, so let me just throw out these cards here. And I think I tried to do this before, but I'm not sure if I did it before. So I'm already in the zone because I can't even remember what I used to do on this, but I'm going to see if I can switch cameras here so you can see the cards on my table. Yeah, you can see that, and I'll move the camera so you can see things better. Okay, there we go. And I'll move this one over. Sorry, technical changes here going on. Okay. Yeah, this has to go over a little bit more. All right, it's a little bit crooked, but you can still see. Okay, so with Trump, he's very pleased with himself. He's got the 9 of Cups here, and he's very, very pleased with himself. But in this reading, we are going to notice the little rat up in the corner, up in the top of there. And what is that rat doing up there? I think that just indicates the deception that's going on, that he's really pleased with himself, that he has been deceiving the American people. And then we have the 8 of Pentacles, and it's on its side. And the 8 of Pentacles, to me, would really be the card for services, because people who are giving services are, traditionally very highly skilled to be giving those services, but it's on its side. And so this is really hamstringing people who are in the service industry. However, I haven't heard of any tariffs about the service industry. So apparently he thinks that's okay, but it's just weird. It's just weird that, he's really happy with this. And for some reason, he's not focusing on services at all. But then we have the 8 of Cups. So I think what this means is that Trump's going to have to walk away from the majority of his tariffs very, very soon. This is not going to last because he's just getting too much pushback. Somebody had put up the question, or Cleo had put up the question, are 50 countries really renegotiating? Well, but that's what Trump wants. He wants to have countries coming to him and negotiating to get out of the tariffs. That's exactly what he wants. So that's kind of bad. In the past, we have the 9 of Pentacles, and I think to Trump, this represents Elon. And Elon usually comes up in his own readings as the King of Pentacles, but with Trump as the main focus of the reading, we have Elon showing as a knight. And I think this just indicates the idea that Elon is being pushed out. He's going to be going away. He's not going to be really calling the shots with things very much anymore. And I think we're going to find that he goes away before the end of May, before his 130 days is up. What crowns Trump for this reading is the 5 of Cups. And we know all what this means. No bueno, Mr. T. We don't like what you're doing. Why won't that focus? There we go. Why is he so sad? Well, because he's not getting what he wants. He's not getting adulation for this. He's not getting good press for this. He's not getting the money for this. He's just not doing very well. And then we have the Eight of Swords. This is not a great reading for him. He's not doing very well. He is going to find himself all tied up in knots. Now, I'm wondering if this doesn't mean more court actions against him about the tariffs. We have seen that there are some people in Congress who I believe have sued him or something to say that the tariffs are illegal, that they shouldn't be allowed, yada yada. Well, I mean, just throw a dart at the wall. Anything that you hit that has to do with Trump is illegal because that he's a criminal and that's what he does. Now, what is he hoping, or what is he afraid of? This is very interesting. It's in the position for what he's afraid of. And we get the Three of Wands, and it does indeed show a ship. So he is afraid of what's happening overseas. He's very worried about that. There are some partners overseas, apparently, that he is in fear of. And I'll just leave it at that he's just not really, nobody ever said he was an Einstein. He's just not really, really smart. Now, what do other people see for him? What do other people see about what's going around? Well, that he just wants money. He just wants a bunch of money. And, this dude is going to do everything he possibly can to make more money. And in the members meeting, we were talking about the fact that a lot of this money-making stuff is just going into some sort of an account or some kind of PAC or something that just holds money for Trump. We probably will never know what it really is. He probably will find a way to hide it, launder it, whatever. But that's what's probably going on. There are probably a number of ways that he's making money off of the government, and it's just going in an account for him. We know in his first administration, he did that. And now he didn't even try to cover it up. He was doing all sorts of little grifting schemes before he won, before he was inaugurated. And, the stupid gold sneakers were just the beginning. He had the guitars and he had the NFT cards, and then he had new NFT cards, and then he had some other stuff, watches or something, or coins. I mean, he's just exhausting with his stupid grifty things that he does. What is he hoping for? Well, I think this is an interesting card. He hopes to have a good lie down and rest. And I got to tell you, I made myself watch the whole 90-minute press conference, one of his stupid press conferences in the Oval Office. I think it was the same day that he had the showing in the office with Kid Rock. And he was sitting at his desk, and I think he's had some other sort of event in his body that has debilitated one side or the other. I think he was leaning towards the right. So I'm going to say that it's maybe his right side is not doing too well, because he was really leaning over to that side and really leaning on the desk. Like, he was not sitting upright at all, but he was sitting at the desk. However, mentally, he was really sharp. And every question that he took was on pretty much a different subject. And each topic that came up, he was able to spit out his little spiel about that topic. And although he still was giving word salad for every answer, it was kind of amazing that he had an answer, a word salad answer for every topic. And he wasn't just repeating the same things. He was specifically answering to the topic, not necessarily answering the question. And it was, I was amazed. I was amazed. So he's got to be having a lot of, I don't know if it's blood transfusions or chemical cocktails or something that they're doing to him, obviously medicinally and chemically, that is just keeping him a lot more alert. And that's got to be exhausting for him to be having to be on like that. Even though he likes the spotlight, he likes being in his golf cart and being driven around like he was the other day, waving at the crowd. He likes that. He can be on for that. Or walking from the back door of the White House to Air Force One and waving and saying a few lines to the reporters. He likes that. But an hour and a half, it was 90 minutes. And please, I had to go have a drink afterwards. It was terrible. But um, it was impressive, I gotta say. And so my hat goes off to his medical professionals, but I do see why he needs a rest and a lie down, because that was amazing, really. All right, and the final outcome for him on all of the why isn't he saying anything about the services and what's going on with the tariffs and all of that fal-de-rah, is the Hanged Man. And so I see that he's not going to be able to continue with these tariffs. That I think there's going to be a big, huge turnaround, which, thank God. I mean, the other countries are not going to just stop their tariffs because they know that he changes his mind in a second. But it's also embarrassing for him. And this is something that he does not like. So this is going to make him even angrier. And you watch, when he has to pull back those tariffs, then he's going to do some other nasty shit where he has to embarrass someone, or maybe that's when he fires Elon or something. But he personally is going to retaliate. Okay. So that's what we see about that thing. And now we'll go on to the next question. So yeah, I think this little fabric thing really works out. And it's taking the noise level down for the shuffling, which I think is a good thing. But I do want to straighten this out a little bit. My little moon in Virgo can't handle it. Why won't my camera move? Whoops, sorry. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, there we go. All right, so next thing to talk about. Elon Musk calls for a US/Europe free trade zone with zero tariffs, while EU plans a response to the US import duties. Well, hasn't the EU given a response? Here, let's see. Oh, I guess they haven't. I guess they haven't actually. Yeah, I guess they haven't really made a response. Now, Peace Mama, 50 countries really caving, negotiating with Orange over the tariffs. Yeah, I think a few. I haven't heard about all 50 that are talking back to him and trying to negotiate. I do know that he spoke to Cambodia. And I think this is his little wet dream, to have all these countries begging him to, do a little something, something for them. I think that's, I think that's just his dream come true, to have all of that happening. So we'll see. Okay. Yeah, there hasn't been that many. If you know of various ones that are responding, please let me know. But I just Googled it and I just saw that they're all trying to seek unity. Yeah, Vietnam. Vietnam and Cambodia. Yep. Okay, so are most countries going to capitulate and negotiate, or retaliate? What will these countries be doing? Okay. So the first card we get here is the Wheel of Fortune. So, if the Wheel of Fortune is turning, it's probably turning the other way. So Trump thinks, as we learned in the last reading, Trump thinks that this is really great and it's going to bring him all this money. But the Wheel of Fortune says, not so fast. That's not actually what's going to happen. And then we get the Knight of Cups. So he's getting surprising results, surprising news, surprising actions towards him. So I don't think that they're all going to capitulate. I don't think they're all going to negotiate and capitulate. If they were, I think that you wouldn't have the EU trying to come together and bring a unified response. I think you would have individual countries responding and capitulating and trying to negotiate. And then we get the Six of Wands. So, he thinks this is a big victory just because he had those first couple of countries come forward. But actually, no, this is not a big victory. This is a big catastrophe. This is a big putting not just the United States economy in the toilet, but try like almost the whole world in the toilet. I mean, just terrible. In the past, he has the Four of Pentacles. So, of course, he's trying to hang on to all of his wealth. So all the stupid grifts that he did leading up to the election and since, he's got all of that money coming in. And I think in his demented mind, I think he actually believes that somehow he's going to make money off of the tariffs. I mean, this guy is not dealing with a full deck. But the other countries, I think once they give their response and they either talk to him or don't talk to him or impose their own tariffs like Canada and Mexico have, then I think the other countries are quite happy. I think they're like, yay, okay, we have another way of doing things. And we all know what's happening already. Many, many countries who previously were not trading partners have become trading partners, kind of in response to him. So instead of negotiating with him, they're just leaving him out of the conversation altogether. And they're going, oh, too expensive to deal with the US? Okay, that's fine. Hey, China, how are you? Or, yeah, most countries are changing trade partners without the US. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Now, what we have here in the future, King of Swords, to me, this just indicates that there's going to be some legal action taken against him. So again, it comes back to the Congress or House of Representatives or Senate. People there are saying that his actions are illegal, that really Congress has to sanction the tariffs, and they have sanctioned none of it because he never communicates to them. He just like writes an EO and says, here we go, we're going to do these tariffs. Really bad. Now, what is he worried about? You guys are going to love this. He's worried about going to sleep and dreaming about mom or having mom visit him. He's being haunted, guys. He is being haunted, probably by his mother, who is not happy with him. She's saying, Donald, no bueno. Literally, he is being haunted. He's being haunted. So Christy McCracken, what about Uranus hitting on F45's MC? Cleo, I'm putting this in the starred ones. It's Christy McCracken. After we get done with this question, if you could put that question up, then we'll talk about that. All right. So what do people around him see? They see that he is just going for big money. He is just trying his damnedest to make a bunch of money, but he thinks the money is for him. Don't let him fool you. All this talk about how he's doing this for the US, he wants America to be the prosperous big power of the world again. No, he doesn't. He wants to be the big prosperous power of the world again. He wants to have lots of money in his coffers. He wants to have this huge amount of money. But here's the irony of all of this. Most people who make a huge amount of money, leave it to their kids or they give it away in philanthropic acts. Not Mr. Dumpy. He's not giving anything away, least of all to his kids. He doesn't even like his kids anymore. Why is he going to put them in the will? I think maybe he's putting Barron in the will because Melania is forcing him to, but he's not a warm, fuzzy guy. He doesn't have a philanthropic bone in his body. And he's probably the worst person on the planet to be the president of the United States. However, he is teaching the United States and the world where our weaknesses are in our Constitution and in our laws. He is teaching us to accept the legacy of our horrible past. mean, we have some great things in our past as well, but we were founded on some very dicey principles, bunch of white guys thought they were doing the right thing. And in many ways, they did do the right thing. They did create a huge, wonderful body of law that could run a democratic experiment for as long as we can hold it, which is what Ben Franklin said. But they failed to recognize the true equality that should have been written in and should have been inherent in all of those documents. And so now we have to pull that apart and fix it in some way. We have to make reparations and make it right because it's not right. All right. So what is he hoping for? Again, this is a funny card to come out for your hopes. Well, we know he's haunted. And at this point, he'd just as soon lay down and take a dirt nap. I mean, this guy is not, he's not real happy. Now, let's go back to the original premise of the question. Will the countries really negotiate with him about the tariffs? No, they're not even going to talk to him. They're going to go all the way around him and do their own thing. The other countries have said, oh, that relationship with the US and trade, yeah, that's dead. It's dead, like these 10 swords in the back. It's dead. It's the ending. It's not happening. And the card now for the ending, the final outcome of this reading, which was the beginning of the other reading, the Wheel of Fortune. So wheels, or wait, that's not the Wheel of Fortune, that's the moon. The moon. So we're not going to know how this really ends, truthfully. What we're going to hear is whatever gobbledygook he wants to spit out. So you're going to have to look at news from Europe or Canada or Mexico or maybe even South America. You're going to have to look at news organizations from other countries to see what really happened, because our media is not going to be able to portray it truthfully. They're going to have to portray it the way the White House wants it to be portrayed. And so that's probably not going to be the full truth. Okay, so that's very long, but that's what we get there. Okay, so Cleo, can you put up that starred question that I asked you about before? Thank you. Oh, wait, no, does Trump want to crash our economy? Yeah, yeah. The one about the Uranus going to his MC. It's the last one I starred. You're still looking for it? I'll try to see if I can find it. Yes. Okay. What about Uranus hitting on F45's MC? This is the third time that it's come up there because Uranus had a big retrograde period in 2024 going into 2025, and it went direct, and now it's hitting his MC for the third time. This is, no bueno for him because of his actions, because of the position that he's in. And I think that now I could see, when is that actually going to happen? Let me just pull that up. It's not going to be good for him. It is probably going to culminate in a health event. I'm going to say that it's going to probably show up in his body rather than anything else. Hang on a second. Let me just pull up his chart and the current transits so we can look at this. There he is. Extended, and we're just going to do transits really quick. And we'll just do it for today. And let's see what we have here. Yeah, this is so bad. Yeah, so Uranus is coming up on his midheaven right now as we speak. And this is probably also why he is doing things so erratically and suddenly. And let me see, where is his 25? Yeah. square his Mars. He's just creating problems for himself, but I do think that this is very likely going to result in a health event. This squares his Mars, and which is conjunct his ascendant, and the ascendant is the body, and specifically the head with Mars there. So I do think that he has been having probably a series of health events, maybe a stroke-like event or something that is the image that I've always had for Trump's difficulties is an exploding in his brain. That's the image that I get, that something is just exploding in his brain. And so, that's still happening, which is probably why they keep having to do things to him medically, pharmaceutically, chemically. It's not great. And Uranus is not a quick moving planet. It's not moving off of that. So this whole period, until Uranus really changes signs, and let me see when that's going to be, because Uranus is, like I said, not a quick mover. Let's go to what's the annual one like? No, let me go back to the monthly one. Sorry, you guys. I'm manipulating this other stuff. All right, so I want to see. Let's go up to. Well, let's just look in May and see where it is in May. Yeah, we can't really go by the Uranus thing, because that's just going to be months and months and months and months. And when he leaves power, it's not necessarily meaning that he leaves this plane. It's just that he leaves power. He'll probably continue to live for a while after that. I feel when Uranus moves off of his midheaven, that it will, and it hits Gemini, it will be better for him in a way. But then Uranus is going to hit his Jupiter, and I don't think that's going to be really great, but whatever. So I can't really say definitively what's going to happen. My feeling is that he will have another health event. And I have to say, I have been talking about his health events since 2023. And I firmly believe that throughout 2024, he was having health events that were pretty serious. And definitely since he's taken the Oval Office, he has been having a series of health events. He hasn't, DWIC is going to have a massive coronary event. DWIC. I don't know who DWIC is, so I don't know. But I feel that it's going to be pertaining to his head more than anything else. Okay. All right. So let's go to more starred questions, and I'll check my list to see if there's anything else there. So I wanted to know about the protests yesterday. What kind of effect are they going to have for, shall we say, decertifying the orange one? So I'll shuffle on that, and Cleo, you find what we should do for the next question. Oh, that's a good question. Okay. All right. So first I'm going to read on what the effect of the protesters are going to be, the ones who were protesting against Dumpy. I think because Dumpy and Elon are privileged people who are really out of touch with what real humanity is about. For instance, groceries, that old-fashioned word groceries. I mean, what a buffoon. Well, like any person that had any kind of um, you know, public visibility would would not say that. Like anybody. They just wouldn't say that. That's just such a boneheaded thing to say. But anyway, the effect that the protesting might have on them is that it's about as in your face as things can get without actually having a confrontation, and I think they can't ignore it. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Cleo, we'll read on that one after the other ones. So, if you could take that question down, and because I just want more of the screen to be able to see the cards. Okay. What effect will protests from April 5th have on Dumpy? Yeah. They're going to have an effect. They're going to have a pretty big effect. The first thing is that he just feels like curling up and dying. He just feels like leaving. I wish that would focus. He was not happy. He was not happy at all. And what crosses it is the Queen of Cups. And I'm not quite sure who the Queen of Cups is, but there are lots of female water signs floating around. Lots. For instance, the head of the ICC, Tomoko Akane, she's a water sign. The Prime Minister of Italy is a water sign. Her name escapes me right at the moment, but I know she's a water sign. There's probably a bunch of females in politics in the US who are water signs as well. So this could also just be the female energy of it all really rattles him, that women would specifically be so against him, would rise up in such volume and so in masses of people to say, not only do we not love you, we really hate you and we want you gone. The signs that were shown during these protests were just dead on. I mean, just devastatingly true statements saying, we don't want you as our president. Please leave, or not even please, just get out of the White House. And the card at the base of the matter is death. So this transformation, this change is imminent. Things will be changing imminently. Not going to put a date on it, but I also think that Dumpy's days are numbered. I don't know how many numbers, but they're numbered. In the past, we have the Ace of Wands. This is him not just putting on the tariffs, but doing all the stupid shit that he's done. I mean, everything from saying that he's going to take over Greenland and rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, to putting on the stupid tariffs, to letting his henchmen pick up students on college campuses and then actually deporting them. I mean, all the stupid shit that he's done. That's his Ace of Wands there in the past. What crowns him is the Three of Pentacles. This is him putting his little team of workers bees together and saying, please make it go away. It's not going away. His stupid stuff is not going to work, but he'll have people like Peter Navarro and what's that other guy who is all about the finances and all of that stuff. All of those people, I don't care how educated they are, they're doing stupid shit. They're just doing stupid things. So this will be not the F around and find out era, but now we're moving into the play stupid games, win stupid prizes period of his administration. What comes up in the future for him is the 9 of Cups. Very interesting here. And I'm going to say that, he may have a little reprieve where he thinks things are okay. Or if things really get turned around and he is taken out of the administration, that he just loses it and he just starts saying, yeah, this is great. Yeah, this is what I wanted. I didn't really want to live in the White House. I like being in Mar-a-Lago. Oh, this thing around my ankle, don't worry about that. Like he's just going to like cross over into la la land mentally and just not deal with reality. That's what I see with that. Now, what is he worried about? Oh, that we all find out about him and Putin and Orban and Netanyahu and all the other authoritarians that he's playing in the sandbox with, and that we figure out all the things that they're actually doing, because they are doing a lot, and they have been planning this for a very long time. And even if Dumpy goes down, those other authoritarians are still going to try to perpetrate this playbook. So it isn't just pulling it down for the United States. This is a worldwide issue. And, Dumpy is really trying hard to keep that secret. God, he's stupid. Okay. And what do we see? Well, we do see that they do have a lot of strength. They do have the ability to keep doing these things. So even with the protests, we see their pushback in some way. I don't see them pushing back like arresting people or doing things legally. I don't see that. I don't see a lot of swords here. I see one, but it's not that. And I think that in general, they have means. They have tricks to pull. But I don't know how effective they're going to be. Now, what is he hoping for? He is hoping for lawsuits. He's hoping to arrest people. He's hoping to, make it all go away with a court case that he can just keep going and going and going in the court so that nothing changes and they don't throw him out of office. But the final card, there's 2 swords. This is the second one, is the 8 of Swords. Now, that's the card basically for imprisonment. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. Card for imprisonment. Okay, can we get one of those other questions up here? And I'll read on that. Okay, I'll stick with this deck. Yep, I know. I pulled up his chart. It's exactly on his midheaven. I know. But it's not going to get to Gemini for quite some time. It moves slow. April 19th is the next national protest. Okay. And somebody else said that there's a rumor that April 20th, he's going to declare martial law. I think he can declare martial law, but I think there are certain criteria that have to be met. Okay. All right. What were those other questions that you had up, Cleo? You had 2 other questions that had been put up. I can't remember what they were. Yeah, that one. Okay. Does Trump want to crash our economy and destroy the USA so oligarchy could be taken over USA and citizens? I don't need cards for that. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants. Okay, next question. Will the U.S. Constitution survive the fascist coup? If so, how? Will it survive? Well, yes and no. Our country needing to be and wanting to be a democracy will survive. The Constitution is going to be pretty much rewritten. Not quite from scratch, but it is going to be rewritten, and most of the amendments are going to have to be amended themselves. No, not all of them, but a lot of them going to have to be amended. So there's going to be a ton of amendments. So they might just start out and basically just write the Constitution 2.0. But we will survive the fascist coup. We will. And how? I've explained how in a lot of my videos. There will probably be some sort of a military action that isolates Dumpy and his administration. Almost everybody in his administration will be apprehended or isolated. Shortly thereafter, I think members of the Senate and Congress who have been co-conspirators or culpable in this whole endeavor, I believe that they will also be isolated, apprehended, contained, restricted, locked up, something. I think all of that will happen. I think that there will be a panel of some kind that is appointed. It will involve military people. It will involve past presidents and vice presidents. It will involve political leaders that we have now. It will also involve lots of people who are constitutional experts. And I already said there'd be military involved as well, maybe some people on the judicial side. And they will form some sort of a transitional head of government to allow us to begin to put things back together, like all of the U.S. agencies that were disemboweled. I'll just use that word. And eventually we will have a president, and we will revive the system of elections and that kind of stuff. I don't know if Kamala will have to face another election. I don't think she should have to face another election. And my heart and my ego are just too involved in that question, because I really, really fervently want her to be our president. And so at this red hot moment, I cannot say unequivocally that she will, because it's just my fervent desire. So I can't read it. I'm just being honest. I can't read it. It's too close to me. And the when of it, Maureen, is imminent. And that's as close as we can get. But I just want you all to know that things are already happening. Things are already happening. If you look at mostly Democrats, but I think there are some Republicans too, who have made public speeches, who have made public appearances, and have begun to really speak out against this administration. These are a part of the trail of breadcrumbs that are leading towards the takedown of this administration. But I think it has to be military. Yeah, we already answered that one. The answer is yes. So I can't tell you all of the details. And quite frankly, the details are being worked out now. I do know that. I do know that there are very knowledgeable and capable people that are working in secret. Well, yeah, Stephen Miller and Vogt are definitely, they're a part of Project 2025. And Project 2025 is really driving the train right now, really driving the tank, as it were. And I feel that Trump, with all of his health issues, is little more than a mouthpiece. You know, what was it that he came up with that he said, and it was just like, wow, that doesn't go along with the party line. And then you didn't hear anything more about it. I think here, Trump. Oh, I can't remember it now, but there was something that Trump came out with in favor of, or something. I don't know if it was vaccines or just, some kind of controversial issue. And he came out and just said, yeah, I think we should do that. And it was not at all what Project 2025 wanted. So you didn't hear that after about 3 days. It just didn't hear it anymore. All right, so let's get another question up here. Layla, the answer to that is no. Putin already kind of owned things. He owns Trump because Trump is an asset of his. And what Dumpy has to do is deliver certain things to him. Ultimately, Putin's not going to live long enough to do anything else to the United States. But for instance, Putin is the one who wants Greenland and the Panama Canal. He wants both of those. Putin is the one who wants all of Ukraine, but he'll take, for instance, Crimea. He'll take the parts that he already, is in. So he's not selling the country to Putin. He himself has been sold to Putin. He is just doing Putin's bidding. And he's trying to combine that with Project 2025. And I think you may all be familiar with the saying, a slave cannot serve two masters. He has two masters. Will tomorrow be Black Monday because of the stock market? Let's see. You mean like, are people going to be jumping out of windows and stuff? No, it won't. It will, for some people, even with the stock market really, really crashing the way it is, that presents opportunities for a lot of people. There are certain things that are going to normalize, not go back to the way it was, to the levels that it was, but they will kind of normalize at this lower level. And then just like the Europeans and the Canadians and the Mexicans, you're going to find companies beginning to make trades and alliances amongst themselves to bolster their companies and keep their companies in business. You're going to see all over the place a lot of strange bedfellows because they have no other way of combating this. But if you don't think Jeff Bezos is just banging his head against the wall and saying, what the hell did I do? Because his company is really suffering. And not everybody has dropped Amazon Prime, but the number of people who have and are not ordering on Amazon anymore is really hitting his bottom line. Now he's wealthy enough that it's not, making him give up his houses yet. But if it continues for 9 months, then he might have to, because it's really gonna, but before it gets to that point, it's going to really hurt the little person. So I don't think that the stock market and the big people that are playing the stock market, the big investment bankers and things like that, I don't think that they are jumping out of windows. I think that they're trying to regroup and figure out how to handle this. But they are also, I think, a lot of business leaders thinking about how do we influence Trump, not negotiate with him, but how do we manipulate him to stop this madness? Okay, so do you see F-45 and felons stealing money from our treasury, converting into crypto and sending it to Putin? I don't think they have to do that. I do see them stealing money, not just from the treasury, but what's happening with all of the money that would go to pay salaries for all of the U.S. agencies where everybody's been fired and laid off. What's happening to that money? Where is it just sitting there? Well, if they can get their hands on it, it's not just sitting there. Converting things into crypto, I don't know if they're really like sending it to Putin. I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't get that. That's not what's floating to the top of my brain. The thing with crypto, there's probably a certain amount of that happening. Um, Money's being converted into crypto, but I don't. It's not coming to the top of my brain that that's why they're doing it. If they were converting it into crypto, it would just be to beef up their own accounts, but not necessarily sending it to Putin. Okay, can we get another question? Well, let's see. Let's do that one. Will Congress do a no confidence vote and oust Mike Moses from the House? What's going to happen to Moses Mike as Speaker of the House? What is his fate? Well, they may be doing something pretty quick. Oh, gosh. Yeah, he's going to be gone soon. And then they're really in trouble because who is going to be Speaker? I mean, at least Moses Mike is the devil you know. But then they're going to get somebody else. And I don't think it's going to be somebody, true blue for the democracy. So, yeah, the Wheel of Fortune kind of turned in the past and put Mikey into the hopper as Speaker after Kevy left. And we can see here with the Ace of Swords is saying, yes, there's going to be a legal action taken. And then we have the Six of Cups, which is bringing things back from the past. So can we say Kevin McCarthy? Yes. So they're going to pull the same thing that was pulled on Kevin McCarthy. A woman is going to be at the basis of it. I don't know what sign Marjorie Taylor Greene is, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if she was at the base of it too. This is not going to be good for Mikey. He's got the Ten of Swords here. He's going to be in the fight of his life. And in the end, we have the Seven of Swords, which is Sneaky Pete, which is stealing votes, stealing this, stealing that. So I do see that people are going to be lining up and voting against him. And so this is going to be indicative of the breakdown among the Republican ranks, where we've already seen it. We've already seen that even in the Senate, Mitch McConnell came out and was talking about, something about tariffs, I believe. And there's been other Republicans who are also standing up to this and saying that they don't want to go along with the tariffs and that they're illegal. And I think it has to go through the House of Representatives, I think, because they're the ones that have something to say about tariffs because they hold the purse strings. And I think that they're going to maneuver more Republicans to vote against Mike because they know that he's a Trump guy, he's a MAGA guy, and he's a nut job because he believes that he's Moses. And then we have, his fears are, it's Prince of Swords. He just fears the action coming towards him. And everybody else knows that when it's Mikey Moses or Moses Mikey at the helm, everybody's just going to vote the way Mikey Moses tells them to vote because that's the Trump vote. What does he hope? Oh, he hopes there is an end, actually, and his final outcome is death. This is so interesting. Moses Mikey, he hates the job. He's so stressed over this job. He would welcome it being over. He would be just ecstatic if it was just donezo. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna do away with him fairly soon here. And there could be something coming out with all these, swords. This could also be some kind of an action that he takes or a new something new that he says in public that makes everybody go, what? He's going to do what? Oh, Cory Booker. I don't need cards for that either. His future looks very, very good in politics. I would not at all be surprised if he wasn't part of that panel for the interim government, or at least an advisor to them. His chart is exquisitely entwined with the United States chart. This is a person for whom his passion, his spirituality, his righteousness is all tied up in him being a senator. He's a real true blue Democrat. He is not corruptible. He is one of the people that is absolutely uncorruptible. His heart is really in it, and he's becoming an inspirational leader. Now, I think he's a Virgo, and this explains why he's had such a long history in the Senate without being really revered, really raising up the ranks, but he has to a certain extent, but he's really played it safe, which is a very Virgoan trait. He's not a showboater, as they say. But now that he has taken the bull by the horns and done that 25-hour filibuster, now he has stepped into the national stage. He really has. And I know he's done other things where he was a surrogate for higher level politicians. I think he was even a surrogate for Biden. Now he is stepping on the stage for himself. And I feel that he will stay in the Senate, I think, for a long time. But I think that he'll do very, very well. At some point, maybe he will be the Speaker of the House, or the Speaker of the Senate, excuse me. But he has a lot of work to do, and he knows that. He knows there's just a ton of work to do. I don't know if he's already started doing this, but I think that he will start foundations for certain needs, maybe for children or for housing for people or something. He's really a true advocate for the underdog and for people who really are in need. So he has a beautiful future in politics. I don't see him ever becoming president, but I do see him maybe at some point in his career holding a cabinet position. He's just he is a great man. Okay. All right. Have you heard about the leaker in the Pentagon? They are calling him Deep Throat 2.0. I don't think it's one person, Krista. The Deep Throat, I think, is a group of people who are sometimes referred to as a cell within the Pentagon that are orchestrating outing some of the really outrageous things that the Trump administration are doing, like the signal chat thing. And they're probably going to be doing more of that. And so this is what confirms to me that there are people in, especially the military, but also behind the scenes politically, who are working towards decertifying Mr. T. So yeah, they're working. This isn't a one-time thing, the outing him for the signal chat. It's not a one-time thing. That is ongoing, and that has been in play, I feel, since before the election. Okay, what's next? Maybe we'll switch up the cards here. Yep, we had that one before too. Okay. Yeah, we had that one too. Let's see. Interesting. Yeah. Yes, he's going to be returned. You can take the question down now, Cleo, so that you can see all the cards. He is going to be returned. The first card up is the Knight of Swords. So they're working really hard at putting all the levers of power at their disposal into overdrive to get him back. Not necessarily the Trump administration, but other, whoever put the case forward for him are working really hard at making that happen. And here we have the Ace of Pentacles. And I believe that this is showing us that the papers that get filed for this person are going to be used as a model for the other people who were deported erroneously. I mean, I think they all were deported erroneously. I don't think there's any one person who ended up in El Salvador that really needed to be there. But who am I? I'm nobody. But I do also see that there are going to be a lot of interesting things come to light. And as they begin to come to light, I think the Trump administration does not want them to come to light. And I think that's when all of a sudden that, cell door will be flung open and there'll be a plane waiting for him to go home. So not tomorrow, but way sooner than any of the others. He definitely will be brought back. The Strength card is in the past, and I'm sure that this person and anybody who knows that this is even a slight possibility in their life of being deported, they're strong people. They are people that they've thought this through. They kind of, for the most part, know how they would kind of handle themselves in a situation of extreme persecution and isolation, as he is in now. So they kind of know how to handle themselves, and I hope. And this is funny. The only card in the deck that comes up reversed is the card that crowns him, and it's the Tower reversed, which means that when this happens, this absolutely changes his life. When the Tower is upside down, it's a lesser change. So what I'm going to say with this is that it's a change for the better for him coming home. And following that is the Eight of Cups, another card about walking away from a situation and moving on to a better situation. So we know that would be better if he came back. What is he worried about? I mean, the dude is in a bad jail. He's really worried about people hurting him. So he's not, I mean, that's really bad. And I feel for him. Other people see that there are plenty of people making noise about this. There are lots of people trying to take action and help him and bring him back, and it is going to work. In the hopes there, he wants to travel back over the ocean and get back to where he's supposed to be. So that's his hope, and that's good. He should keep the faith there. The final outcome card is the World, meaning he's going to, there will be an end to this. He will not stay there forever, and he will be coming back. And I think he'll be probably the first person to come back from that anarchy. So yeah, he's going to come back. All right. So I'm game for a few more questions if you guys are. So Cleo, what is the energy for next week? Eclipse shadow. I've never heard of the eclipse shadow. I mean, the eclipses every eclipse has a unique fingerprint, really. And you can't really go by any one planet's, like what, the way it was explained to me is that where the eclipse hits your chart, whatever sign and degree that is, as planets move out from the eclipse and another planet hits that sign and degree, or just that degree in a sign that makes a harmonious or non-harmonious aspect to something in your chart, that's when you will feel another effect, or that will trigger the power of the eclipse. So I can do the energy for the next 4 weeks, but I wouldn't equate it to just the eclipse shadow. The effects of the eclipse will probably be felt for a very long time, this pair of eclipses. The first one, the lunar eclipse, I think will be felt for a good 6 months. The solar eclipse could be even longer because it was a pretty powerful eclipse in itself. So let's look at the energy for the next 4 weeks. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do 4 columns. I'll do like 3 cards or so in each column. Okay. So this is week 1. So this is going to be the 2nd week of April. And do the 3rd week of April because we're already at the 1st week. 2, 3. This will be the 4th week of April. And this will be going into the end of April into May. Okay. So for next week, this coming week, we start out with the Page of Wands. So we're probably going to hear a big announcement, probably at the beginning of the week, like Monday. And this will probably have to do with Dumpy, or it may have to do with Elon, because we get the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is traditionally, a water sign man in a position of authority, and that would be Elon. So it's probably going to be Elon announcement about him and his departure, because the next card we get is the Chariot. And that would indicate somebody going somewhere in this administration. It can also be that there's going to be great change in the way, when Trump announced the tariffs, there could be great change about those tariffs as well. And then, so that's the next week. And then the 3rd week of April, we start out with the 3 of Swords. So we're going to maybe have some more exposure of betrayal. And I'm going to say against the Trumpy administration. I think that's what it's going to be. We got betrayal, and then right under it, we have the Lovers, meaning that some relationship is really coming to an end. Now, this could still refer to Dumpy and Elon, but I think it might be somebody else just against Dumpy is, giving out information or something like that. And we have the 9 of Swords. So I think it's going to hit home. I think, the effect of the betrayal is going to be successful. They're going to bring the person down or destroy their reputation or destroy something they own or love. So that's 3rd week of April is going to be no bueno for someone, probably in the Trump administration or Trump himself. In the 4th week of April, so we did, let's see, the 1st week would be this week, the 7th through the 12th, and then we have the 13th through the 19th, and now we're up to April 20th through the 26th, and we have the 4 of Pentacles. So this is going to be a period of time for all of us where we just feel like we have to hold on to everything. So there will be probably some economic difficulties from the tariffs that come to normal people like you and me. Now, someone had also said that April 20th was supposed to be the time of martial law. Not seeing that in the cards. So what I'm seeing is that there is worry about our own resources. And this is the week of the 20th. And then in a reverse card, we have the Ace of Swords, not feeling like you can get any legal justice about this. Like, it's just not fair. Why is this happening to us? So we might all be feeling a lot of anxiety on the week of the 20th. We also have the 10 of Wands. Like, there's just too much work to do. It's just too hard to get through this. So it might be a really tough week, the week of the 20th for us. And then the week of the 27th, which is just a half week, and then it goes into May, it starts out with the Empress. So when I looked at this, I did not get Russia for once. What I'm getting is that there is something that is making us feel better. Someone who is rising up to say, no, no mas, you can't do this. We have to take care of our people. And someone who tries to start implementing care, taking care of people. And after that, we have the Nine of Pentacles. It calms us down. It allows us to feel like we are being nurtured and cared for and well cared for. So I think that that week of the 20th being really bad, I think in contrast, the following week, which is the last 4 days of April, is much different. We begin to feel things much differently. And the final card for that week, that group of days, which would be into May, is the Knight of Cups. So this could be a person, this could be a water sign person who emerges with surprising news, happy news, unexpected news, different news, news that really changes things. And that's really, really nice for everybody. So, April is still a roller coaster. I feel the first 2 weeks are really focusing on the Trump administration, and lots well, not the first 2 weeks, this week coming up and the week of the 13th are really focusing on, if not bringing down his administration, at least getting rid of Elon, because I feel like that's kind of like the first step, So I think the first step is just getting that little mofo out of there, because nobody really wants him there. All right. So that's what I got. That's April and into May. It's good info. Good info. All right. And then I think I will just wrap this up. I'm going to pull an oracle card. Excuse me while I grab an oracle deck. This one's always good. All right. So this is Kyle Gray's Keeper of the Light. This is one of my favorite oracle decks. I always turn to this when I don't know what to turn to. I love Kyle Gray's cards. They just always have very soothing, calming messages, and they are amazingly insightful for whatever is going on with you, with a person, with us. Just going to shuffle this a little bit. They're a little hard to shuffle, but it's a really good deck. It's worth it. It's worth figuring out a way to shuffle them, even though they're thick, they're hard, they're stiff, and I can almost shuffle them, poker shuffle. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. I bent them enough. All right. So what does everybody need to know? What is a card that everybody needs to know? The 25th Amendment would take too long. Okay, what do we all need to hear? Alrighty. Okay. Oh, I love this. This is great. I'm actually going to get out the little guidebook. I'm going to read to you. It may take me another 10 minutes to read this whole thing because sometimes they're very long. So the card that I pulled is Joan of Arc, Voice of Truth. Stand strong, focus on your purpose, release the fear of persecution, and speak your truth. So for all of you who were supportive of the protesters yesterday or were one yourself, good for you. Speak your truth. That's what you needed to do. And let me just see if I can find Joan. I opened right to it. I love this. Okay, Joan of Arc, blah, blah, blah. I'll skip all that. But here's the extended message. You are being encouraged to stand strong. You may feel unrecognized and misunderstood, but that doesn't mean you have to give up on the mission you feel called to fulfill. You must follow the will of your soul and exercise your leadership spirit by speaking your truth. You may feel as if you are on a battlefield, but this conflict will come to an end as soon as you stop defending yourself. You are not here to prove yourself to others. Instead, approve of yourself. Know that your angels are on your side and that heaven is thanking you for being the honest soul you are. And with that, I'm going to say for everybody, I'm going to switch my I'm going to switch my camera back. And my camera's all wonky because I moved it. But here we go. You can see me for a minute. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for being in the chat. I really appreciate everybody being here. And I'm not going to commit to every single Sunday, but I am going to say that I'm going to do more of these shows on Sunday because I think it's really nice. And I think I actually slated myself in for one of the Fridays that I have free as well. So you'll be seeing more of me. And I really appreciate all of you there. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions in the chat, but I hope that we touched on the topic that you were asking about. And, if not, just leave me a comment on one of the posts and let me know that that's the question that you want me to look at. Okay. So take care, everybody. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for playing PoliTarology. Can I talk anymore? I did a members meeting before this, so I've been online for about 3.5 hours. So I guess that's too long for me. But thank you for playing PoliTarology with me. It is my favorite game, and I hope you're all subscribed. And I hope you can give me a thumbs up, and we'll see how we go. All right, take care. Hang in there. Bye.